rec centers in my city are very, very inexpensive, and they have like a gym, and they also have a daycare with, and the pools and all the other activities. So what I would do is in the morning, I would go and I would drop off my kid at the daycare. And if I remember correctly, they had a limit of 3 hours, and they would take care of your child with other kids playing, singing songs and everything for 3 hours uninterrupted for a minimal amount. I don't even remember. It was maybe like $15 for a stay or something like that. Like so cheap. You cannot get a babysitter for that rate, obviously. And so that was my way of like drop off my kid, and I was like bolt to the gym to do my workout first, and then sit down with their free Wi-Fi. They're in the same premise as where my baby is, sometimes right outside the door watching her play, but I'm creating content, creating my programs, and what became my very first iteration of my online coaching 6 or 7 years ago.
This is the Online Trainer Show, Trainer Show, Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show. We shouldn't have a podcast.
Our topic today, well, I mean, I think in the words of our esteemed podcast producer, Amber, this is a working shitty title, I think was her official name, which was time management when you have a busy life. Was that it? Basically, what we want to talk about is you got a full-time job, and online training is something that you're looking to do on the side as a side hustle, and or you've got insert here, ailing parents you take care of, kids that need your attention a lot of the time. Go on down the list. Whatever the situation is, you've got a lot of stuff going on that pulls on your time, yet you got to make this online training thing work. And this online training thing is kind of like a big stone wheel where it takes a ton of pressure, of effort to get it going first. And then once you get that thing moving, all you got to do is just tap it. Tap.
Good.
I like it.
All you got to do is just tap that thing and it keeps going. But if you got to put in all of that effort at the front, like how in the world are you going to do that? Is what we want to talk about today, which I like. I mean, I never understood. I can commiserate now so much with my clients back when I was like 21 and 22 years old, when they were like, oh, I'm really busy, like I don't have time to work out today, or sorry, I'm late for my workout, something happened, or my only time of the day to work out is 6:30. I'm like, oh, you're going to make me get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you jerk. It's like, I get that now. My idiot 22-year-old brain didn't, because I had infinite time. Now it's like, yo, my only time to work out during the day is first thing in the morning before anybody else wakes up.
Yeah.
And so being an adult is hard, I guess is what I'm saying.
Adulting, I mean, that's one of those things that I'm still iffy on. Like, I'm still on trial, I feel. Like, I haven't fully, bought into the membership. I don't know if I want it.
Can we talk about the picture that the mayor posted? Where the commenters thought that you were his daughter.
Oh my God, it made my day. And that poor woman, she was so mortified when she realized what she had done. So my boyfriend, he posted a super cute picture, like a selfie of him and I working together. And, everybody, whatever, liking it.
Your boyfriend, who's the mayor, for anybody paying attention.
For anybody still clear on that, he's the mayor. And this woman, lovely lady, older lady, she goes and she's like, oh, what a beautiful daughter you have. They're gorgeous. And I die laughing.
Oh,
and he's on a freaking phone call, like with a minister or something or other. And I'm like stifling my laughter. And he's just like, whatever, right? And until later, like, he's like, what do you mean? He's like, oh man, like I'm going to shave this beard. Makes me look old. So bummed. So bummed.
He questioned his entire existence.
Yes, he did.
So for those of you wondering, we're not joking. Carolina is literally dating the mayor of her town. Like, it's not actually a joke. It is the truth. Like, he probably was actually on the phone with some important minister of something.
Yes.
Like on the phone with.
And so when we say the mayor, we're not just making like a funny reference to The Office, where Angela is dating
the senator. That was the senator.
The senator.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, that's the first thing I thought of because it's hilarious. But But he is actually the mayor of the Jedi mayor.
The Jedi mayor.
He's not just the mayor of his town. He actually has. If you go on Instagram and you look for the handle Jedi Mayor,
and you should,
because it's amazing that he has that Instagram handle.
Be clear on that. You should absolutely go to Instagram and verify all of these things that we told you up to this point about the mayor.
The other thing
they're all wonderful and they're all true.
And Amber is gonna love this. The other thing is that I came to him like after last episode, and I'm like, "We need to talk." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I don't know how to tell you this, but you are no longer the coolest boyfriend on the podcast." And he's like, "What?" And then he's like, "Wait, is it Ren? Is it Ren that has a cooler boyfriend?" And I died like he was just joking, right? He's like, "What do you mean? Who did?" And I'm like, "He's a helicopter pilot." And he's like, "Oh man."
Yeah, there's a pilot now.
I'm like, "Blame Amber."
But to be fair, his helicopter is orange.
Right.
It's yellow,
but close enough.
Sorry, it's yellow. It's yellow. His helicopter is yellow. It's not like, let's not play this up like he's like some Black Hawk Down.
Right.
His helicopter is yellow.
Like, I don't know how many other jobs we get like a random $300 tip just because you flew around for 20 minutes. So.
Oh my gosh.
I love it. I love it though. I love it. Helicopter pilots, mayors, and doctors. Oh my!
Does he go over to your house with a pocket full of money and just make it rain in your face?
In more interesting news, we should remember that now Jonathan has unlocked the Instagram husband level of his marriage, and he's so proud. We are so proud of you, Jonathan. Well deserved.
It's a big deal.
I mean, it took you long enough, but Allison deserved it. Good for you.
Yeah. The Jonathan, and you guys should go verify this as well.
Yes.
But I think it was in stories maybe, so you can't see it now. You probably missed it. But Jonathan was very complimentary of his super hot wife on the Instagram, giving her accolades, giving her flowers while she lives, as we like to say, on how amazing she is. And he looks like he doesn't even remember his own post.
Well, I just no, I remember that.
Okay.
She's super hot. She's right beside me. She's super hot.
Obviously, Jonathan. Obviously,
well, she's been doing all this. Like, she was a gymnast when she was younger, and so she's doing all these like handstand stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm the one taking pictures of it. And let me just tell you, it's a hard job.
Right. Revs the old Goodman engine, so to speak. So, and that's and they celebrated by eating insects right after that photo shoot.
We did. We ate crickets, and then we got home, and there was a scorpion right outside of our door.
Wow, that's no bueno. I'm no me gusta. So, we've got stuff to talk about today. I mean, things and stuff that we're doing. It's super important. You guys want to listen up. So
I love the amount of just vague, super excitable descriptors that you use on every single episode that mean absolutely nothing, but they just take up airtime. It's great.
Yeah, did you guys buy that? It's super important. You're gonna want to listen up. I don't want to give too much away. That's why I said it so vaguely. So we've been having an issue here in North Carolina where the weather's been fluctuating. So my nasal throat area has been affected by this. I need an EENT. I hope I don't have whatever Jonathan had. I got it vicariously through the podcasting microphone. I don't know how the internet works. First of all, let me say that. So I don't know what you can get or can't get. But it's not COVID. So let's not go there. But I've been drinking copious amounts of hot chocolate. Now I don't know if you guys drink hot chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever drink hot chocolate? Is that a thing? I should ask you. You know what? You know what's funny? Keto's actually Mexican, and just the fact that Jonathan is in Mexico, we have deferred to him several times on this podcast as the Mexican expert.
Right? I'm right here, dude. Like, what? I can answer that question.
Yeah, it's like Keto's not even here. In our defense, we don't know when she might not be. She's on the streak so far for 2021. But I think it just learned to defer to Jonathan as our Mexican expert. So I'm going to defer to Carol. You don't get to talk, Jonathan. You just pipe down.
Well, I was going to ask you guys something.
No,
I'm not going to be here next week.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, things are looking up.
Allison and I are taking a couple days away for her birthday, and it's going to be awesome. But I'm going completely offline, and so I wanted to see whether you guys could maybe possibly handle this by yourselves.
I would love
we
could
that,
do this
Ren.
without-
You and me.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we
Amber
can.
at the helm,
You know,
Roasting
directing us,
episode, John.
keeping us in track. I think
Yeah.
what could go wrong?
Now-
Exactly.
Amber, you're gonna have to talk. So let's just put that out there. I know. Shake it off. Amber, if for those that are not watching YouTube, Amber's body language was very close to somebody needs to take this trash out and finish these dishes. That's what she just gave me all the teenage angst that she had in her body. Can you GIF yourself, Amber? Because that's what we need.
That'd be good.
But I defer back to the important topic: hot chocolate. Keto, does the hot chocolate flow like wine in Mexico? Is that a thing?
We have actual Mexican hot chocolate, and it is it's a specific brand, like Abuelita. So it's like the grandma's hot
Grandmother,
chocolate.
yeah.
And it is delicious, and it's spicy in a way, not spicy hot like pepper, like chili pepper or whatever,
Right.
but it has different spices that give it a certain kick, and it's our absolute drink. For example, when Day of the Dead celebrations happen in the fall, around November, October, and all that stuff, it's like you have your sweet bread and your mug of chocolate abuelita, and you can't go wrong.
Nice. So that's grandmother's chocolate.
Yeah.
I love that. And El Dia de los Muertos.
That's right.
Correct. All right. That's it. I told you I'm brushing up on my Spanish. Like I'm gonna be legit here in about 2 episodes. I'm going all Spanish. Like they're gonna have to caption what I say here. Yeah, I'm going 100% Spanish. So I've been on the chocolate abuelita, and it's been tearing up Ren's tummy. I've been having some tummy issues. So you may hear some things today that are actually not the train. I just want to preface this episode with that. When you hear the
toot, be a slow rumble.
Right. When you hear the toots, it may not be the choo-choo. It may be the rin. But I digress. We're going to talk today about sort of somebody spit out this title because I don't know exactly how we're expressing the aforementioned bleepity title. But we're talking about today is sort of managing your time in the context of you may have a full-time position already, right? You may be recently parents, recently become a parent and your schedule shifts. The other obligations that you have, obligation is not a good word. The other responsibilities, I'll say responsibilities that you have, and how to pair that with maybe operating your online training business as a side hustle, working towards that 1K extra. See what I did there? And how to manage it all. Because Jonathan admitted, I don't know if that was on the show or off show before we got started, but Jonathan admitted what a jerk he was at 22 generally, and more specifically what a jerk he was in his 20s in relation to the empathy he deployed towards people that had children and how challenging it was to
I just
exercise.
want to chime in here and say that I did not admit to being a jerk.
That's Ren's colorful commentary.
I know you at this age, Jonathan. I think it's implied.
I like to think that I was always respectful. I didn't understand, and as a result, I couldn't quite commiserate in the way that now reflecting, I wish that I should.
By the way, the picture of Calvin's backside on the bench as you're working out, epic photo. If it's permissible to slip that into the show notes, I think the fans it was the entire series of photos was just a level of cuteness that I almost could not stand in this mortal body. Like I almost died literally from cuteness looking at these photos of Calvin participating in the gym. And the technique on the heavy bag was amazing. As a boxing coach, I can tell you that kid's got it. He's got it, man. Like there's something there. Do you explore it? I don't know. I'm not here to advocate on his behalf, but I'm just saying from a raw talent perspective, the kid's got hands. Like I wouldn't want to see those hands in the streets. That's all I'm saying.
I get punched by those hands and chopped by those hands at least 5 times a day. So I can tell you how those hands feel.
Well deserved.
He's getting big and strong is kind of what it comes down to.
So that's so who's going to lead us off here? Because I don't have a dog in this fight. Like I'm not.
I mean, we have 2 incredible, intelligent, strong successful single, well, I mean, they have boyfriends, but single mothers here who were single working mothers for a long time, now they have boyfriends. Amber's with a helicopter pilot, not sure if you knew. I think I mean, as a guy, like, I don't know, man. As a guy, we just can't even begin to take part in this conversation. Like at the end of the day, the shit's gonna fall on the woman, right? And we kind of need to understand that.
Right.
And so the amount of things that mothers shoulder on any given day is just this level that, like, guys just can't understand, and it's straight up funny when they try to. And then
Right.
it's even funnier when they try to tell you, like, when single guys try to talk to you about their morning routines is the funniest thing ever. Like, oh yeah, you know, I wake up, I never wake up with an alarm. That kills your sleep cadence because of your delta, beta, alpha waves.
Right.
And I make sure that I wake up naturally to the birds every morning. And then I sit up in my bed and I do my breathing exercises for 5 minutes. And then I grab one of my 3 journals beside my bed and I make sure that I'm reflective and thankful for the day. At that point, I do my sun salutations and a little bit of light yoga to get my blood going. As I make my way slowly and purposefully down to the kitchen, I take out my matcha green tea and I mix it, of course, in the traditional way. And then at that point, I'm ready to start my day and take all that there is that it's going to give me. It's like, look, asshole. Let me tell you.
And the worst part is, these are the guys going and telling like 45-year-old moms, like, why don't you just do what I do? Like,
Right.
bro.
These are like legit what life coaches say.
Yeah.
Like if you're in your 20s and you're a single man or woman, like, you cannot be a life coach. Like, you're not allowed.
Yeah, you shouldn't be allowed.
It's not okay. Like, I get that you want to surf all day, but you should just find another way to consult and not be a life coach. Anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox. I think that we should hear from both Amber and Carolina here first, and probably mostly, because Ren, you and I ain't got nothing on this.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I got something to start with though, because it kind of connects to what
Look at this initiative. Carolina in 2021 with the initiative.
She's so good this year, isn't she? It's like I don't even know the 2020 Carol anymore. Like, she's just so good. Please go ahead, Carol.
So what ties back to what Jonathan was saying is that we do have kind of, I guess, roles in that have been more dictated by society than anything else, and it's really freaking unfair, because then the economic like, women tend to end up at an economic and financial disadvantage in comparison to their partners. So when things go sideways, and I know that I was in that situation, I am separated, working on my divorce and all that stuff. So if things don't work out, you are absolutely at a disadvantage from the moment that you decided that you would be the one raising the kids and keeping up with the house and all that stuff, because guess what? You don't have anything in the bank for yourself. And that's actually like I don't know, like, it's a very vulnerable position. It's a position of danger. It's one in which I felt very exposed and like vulnerable, for lack of a better word. And it's one position that I don't want for women anymore. Like, just in general, I don't want to see, like, if things are not working great, I don't want ever a woman to stop herself from making the decisions that she has to make for herself, just out of financial disadvantage in her relationship. So with that in mind, when I was, I stayed alone for a good long time. I built myself up. I built up my business, and I did all this. And it has always been kind of like super present in my mind that I still need that for myself, right? Like, you always, have your own stuff, your own money, your own business, your own way of making it, because life isn't a guarantee. Like, right? Like, what I have right now could disappear for a number of reasons, and none of them predictable. And we need to be prepared. And it's not a fear-based position for me, but it's definitely a position that now allows me to feel more powerful. And I freaking love it. And I don't want to give that up. So talking about, like, for example, like, gender roles in families or in partnerships, I can tell you right now, one thing that I was, because it mattered to me in my relationship right now. Listen, he runs the city all freaking day, sometimes into the late hours of the night, and he still cleans, helps with the kids, does bedtime stories, makes dinner when necessary. Like, none of those things are negotiable. Like, we both do the work that is the family work, because I can't have it otherwise. My business matters too much to me, and my accomplishments, my hobbies, my, like, our stuff matters too, right? So for me, that was kind of like a new way of entering into a new relationship, and it has been working great. However, like, going back to where I was before, in the struggle of starting to build a business, when time is a lot more limited, resources are limited, you get really creative. As Ren and I have spoken before, sometimes being really freaking poor is a really big motivator to get creative and to get inventive.
Hey, Jonathan Goodman here. This podcast is made possible thanks to people like you. Here's a quick word from our sponsors. Are you still trying to pick your online training software? If so, let me make this easy for you. Go with PT Distinction. It's truly the best, and I'm not just saying that because they're our sponsor. We actually use PT Distinction for our own online fitness business, online trainer coaching, and we're really happy with it. From onboarding to programming to client communication, PT Distinction has everything you need to run your online fitness business smoothly, and it's super simple to use. Now, normally they offer a free 30-day trial, but as a listener of the Online Trainer Show, you get a free 60-day trial, so you can make sure you love them before spending a dime. If you want to deliver first-class service to your clients while reclaiming your time, then visit onlinetrainer.com/PTD to sign up for your free 60-day trial today. If you're a fitness nutrition coach that's looking to master online coaching so that you can help more people, make more money, and have more freedom, then the Online Trainer Academy can help. OTA gives you the framework, knowledge, and support to have predictable success with your online coaching business. From marketing to business development to how to assess and motivate your clients online, it is constantly updated and refreshed to keep up with a dynamic market. Not only that, OTA is proven. In 7 years, we've helped over 30,000 coaches in 87 countries go online. Truth is, we know what works, so you can get right to the success part. And in case you're busy working a full-time job or you're a full-time parent, know that you can go at your own pace. There's no deadlines to complete OTA, and you have lifetime access. That said, if you are ready to make a rapid change and finish the course in the next 8 to 12 weeks, you can expect to invest 3 to 5 hours each week on the program. And here's the best part. If you join today, you will make an extra $1,000 a month in 90 days, or I'll give you your money back. So if you're ready to build the fitness business you want and make the money you deserve, go to onlinetrainer.com/academy to enroll today. And I hope to see you in there. Talk about what your schedule used to be like with the community center. I mean, I know we spoke about that on the podcast at some point, but like, we can't expect people to listen to all of it.
Oh, I forgot about that.
This is so good.
Yeah.
This is so good.
So
Yeah.
rec centers in my city are very, very inexpensive, and they have like a gym, and they also have a daycare with, and the pools and all the other activities. So what I would do is, in the morning, I would go and I would drop off my kid at the daycare. And if I remember correctly, they had a limit of 3 hours, and they would take care of your child with other kids, playing, singing songs and everything, for 3 hours uninterrupted, for a minimal amount. I don't even remember. It was maybe like $15 for a stay or something like that. Like, so cheap. You cannot get a babysitter for that rate, obviously. And so that was my way of, like, drop off my kid, and I was like, bolt to the gym to do my workout first, and then sit down with their free Wi-Fi. They're in the same premise as where my baby is, sometimes right outside the door, watching her play. But I'm creating content, creating my programs, and what became my very first iteration of my online coaching 6 or 7 years ago. And
yeah, so I'd love to know like what you were doing in that time, because you had such a tiny block. First of all, like, how much time did you have? What, an hour? And what did you do, and how did you prepare for that hour to make sure that you were able to make use of
Yeah,
it.
so that was the biggest challenge for me because I have always been super scattered. And that's just something that I have learned that to embrace, like, the journaling and the all that stuff. None of that works for me. It's just not for me, and that's okay. I have found other ways. And so for me, it did mean having to make a list the night before of the things that were non-negotiables. I always had like three, maximum four. This may sound familiar because it's a technique that Jonathan talks about very often, and it just works, right? Having three things that are non-negotiable to get done during the day, and then once those three are tackled, everything else is gravy. And so you're sailing because you're feeling super accomplished, right? And you're tackling the big rocks that are actually building up for you to create momentum and create money and all this kind of stuff. So that was the extreme level of organization. It was just like the night before. And I actually posted about this recently on my social media because I was remembering back to that time, and this thought started, it became ingrained in my head back then when I didn't want to do the prepping the night before. It came back, and I would say to myself, tonight, right now, I am deciding what kind of day I'm going to have tomorrow. And that became kind of like a mantra that has stayed with me. So now if I have to leave my clothes prepared, do it because it's going to be a rush. If I can prep my breakfast and my kids' breakfast so that it's ready, do it. Whatever you can prepare in advance, you're setting future you for success.
Yeah, that's I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Because I mean, I did the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I don't know the type of stressors and time constraints as you do, but I have a lot that I need to get done. I mean, there's a lot of days where I kind of wish I had 30 hours. And and I never get it all done, right? But the most important thing is to, for me at least, is to set my priorities the day before objectively. So before I go to bed the night before, because I work out first thing in the morning, I wake up before anybody else wakes up, and I don't want to wake them up.
Mm-hmm.
So I set up all of my things, like I set my coffee to go on like a timer. I take all of my clothes that I'm going to wear for my workout, my headphones, I fill up my water in a bottle, and I set it all up in the kitchen, like outside, so I
Awesome.
can basically go out and grab it. Even so far as to I undo my shoes and point them to the door so I can just slip my feet in the night before.
That's awesome.
But when it comes to work priorities, I'll review my schedule and actually write out. I did a post on this on my Instagram. Maybe we can embed it, Amber. Of like, I'll actually set up my schedule that calls, meetings, podcasts, whatever I got to do that day, and then I'll actually write in my day is like priority blocks. So I'll say, okay, here's the really important thing, because once the day starts and you start being very reactive to everything coming in at you,
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard to take a step back and say, no, this is actually what's really important for me right now to move my business forward. But if you're sitting at the end of the night after a long day, whatever it is, you put your kids in bed, and in that little bit of time that you have, just sit down and say, okay, well, like, here's what I actually need to do tomorrow, right? And then it's the example. I think we talked about this in a previous episode. Getting ahead in business is not necessarily doing the work, but it's figuring out how the work should be done. A good example I'll always remember is Ren talking about how he's creating his Facebook cover image. That's not a way to get ahead. A way to actually get ahead is to write down a checklist of what needs to be included in a cover image and design considerations and copy considerations, so that then anytime you need a cover image created, you can easily go to Fiverr, you can easily get a VA or somebody else to do that for you. It's That's the way that you need to kind of think of these work blocks. The businesses that thrive are the businesses that figure out a way to have like even 10 minutes of proactive work done. Like ultimately, if you can get 30, like if I get an hour of really good proactive work done in a day, it is a great day.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is that if you're sitting there, whatever you're doing, whether you're doing cardio, whether you're going for a walk, you're probably sitting at home. Whatever you're doing right now, right? If you actually think back in your last week, how much total time you spent on anything that was in any way proactive for your business. And when I say that, it's like building something in a way that you actually will not need to do it again yourself. Work that you've created that is going to work for you in some way without you physically touching it moving forward. How much time did you spend on that last week? My guess is that for most people listening, that number is going to be 0. And if you can bump that up to 10 minutes, you're actually going to be above average. And then the goal is to begin to bump that up more and more. And the way to do that, even if you really don't have much, because most of the shit that you do, you don't need to do. Like really.
Yeah.
When you assess where you're spending your time, most of the stuff that you do in your business, like not that you don't need to do it, but A, it's probably not you who has to be doing it, right? Number one. But two, it's probably not the most important thing for you to do. And you have to be okay with saying, this might not be optimal. I prefer to do these 5 things, but if I can only do 1, well, this has got to be it.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to do when you're planning out your day the night before. And that might be one thing for 10 minutes, right? Like literally, if that's all you got, that's all you got. And I can tell you right now, you will be above average if that's all you got. And that's, Carolina, what you were doing, which I think is brilliant. Right. And I know how hard it is for you because I know how scattered you are. Like you just want to do everything and you want to do everything.
Everything pulls your attention and it's really challenging, which takes us to another point. I don't know if you probably have experienced this to some extent, but sometimes you're just riding an amazing wave. You're super focused, you're zoned in, you're like words are flying, creativity or action or whatever it is, like you're just in the zone. Don't disrupt that. Like, I don't care what's going on around you, like ride that wave because those are the ones that really kind of like bump you up to the next, they allow you kind of like to jump over a kind of like a hump of, kind of like a plateau. So ride that wave.
I love that. I talk to coaches about that a lot. And I talk to clients about that a lot because there are pockets of exercise excellence, right? When you're training yourself, when you're working out in the gym, like you have these pockets of, man, I've smashed it all April, like I'm killing it. And what I like to talk to people about, number one, is riding that wave, but number two is having systems in place for when that dissipates. That's the real balance, right? When the wave comes, man, it's cool, like surf it. But when it doesn't, what are your systems to keep you? To help you sort of mitigate your lack of enthusiasm in that space. Yeah. Like, how do I keep going? And you can really progress like that, man. Riding a wave hard when it comes, but having processes that mitigate your tendency to slack off when that emotional thing happens. Because most of us, Jonathan excluded, ride emotions throughout the course of the day. Jonathan he's just logged off. If you're listening, he just logged off when I said emotion. However, you can be really susceptible to that. So the trick is having the genius to ride the high emotional time and having the processes to withstand the low emotional times, particularly in business. But I wanted to hear from Amber because she does everything.
I was just going to say that. I'm like, I really want to hear from Amber
because she's done everything all day,
talking
every
about
day.
Systems, I feel like we need Amber.
So, and it's so funny because when I got on, because I was the first person on after Amber, we talked about the fact that she got up at 3 this morning. And I was like, I'm pretty sure your day doesn't end today at 5, does it? She just shook her head to the extent that I thought that her cranium might disconnect from her upper spine. So Amber, share with the people, Amber. Talk to the people, Doogie Howser.
So tying back into the last thing you said, Ren, my favorite quote ever is from James Clear. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
100%.
So for me, doing well in my business and prioritizing my time has a lot to do with understanding myself really well. And so, for example, I know my best self shows up early in the morning. I'm one of those really annoying people. Like I leap out of bed, super energetic, ready to run. So anything that needs to like have my full attention and my good attention needs to happen then. So if that means waking up early, like I got up at 3:30 this morning because I had some things I needed to get done that I didn't want, Nate crawling all over me for.
Right.
So that's what I did. I planned, for that. And I think a big thing too is learning to say no and setting better boundaries. And I've joked about this, like this is something I'm constantly trying to do better at. Like there's only really 3 things that I do in my business, and anything else is kind of bonus. But the things that I check off are the first thing is taking care of my current clients. That's the very first thing. Next thing is, building out content, and then relationship building. I pretty much say no to everything else outside of that, unless I happen to have, bonus time, which doesn't really happen. So those are the most important things in my business. And so outside of that, I say no to everything else. Like I deleted my website, for example, because I always I want to adjust it, and it just eats up time. And all of my business comes from social media. It just does. And so it's useless. It's my ego more than anything else. It makes me feel like a grown up to have one. So I got rid of it. And then learning to be okay with things just not going well. Like I joke about being a hot mess, but realistically, it just means I've set my priorities. Like I order out food a lot. I do a lot of pre-done food because I'm cooking for me. Nate doesn't eat anything but cookies and Cheez-Its right now. So I just
it's like a hell of a life. Oh yeah.
So
you said right now, is that something that people grow out of?
I mean, as I said, I'm eating Cheez-Its on the show.
Can I sign back into that? That sounds really good.
I'm waiting to grow out of my desire for those items as well.
Yeah.
It hadn't happened yet.
The literal best part about having a child, forget the love, forget all the fulfillment, all that crap. No, the literal best part is you get to eat kids' food all the time. I love the Baby Bell cheese, the Ritz's crackers,
dinosaur-shaped nuggets.
Man, it's just the amount of fish sticks and chicken nuggets.
And it's for the kids.
Great.
Yeah.
The kids menu.
Oh my god.
The kids menu at a restaurant is always better than the adults. All I want is chicken nuggets and quesadillas. I don't want any of this other stuff. Always better.
The revelations provided here today have been otherworldly. So here's what I'm hearing. Here's what I'm interpreting. This is the summary portion of the podcast.
Tell people.
Which I hate because it means I have to listen through the whole thing. I get put on the spot at the end. I think this was by design because early on in our podcast I would drift off, and then somehow it got to the point where I was summarizing things at the end. And looking back on that, I realized it was a punishment of sorts.
This is your quiz. How accurate you are tells us how much to pay you at the end of the month.
Right. Whatever, Amber.
to be fair, whatever, Amber. To be fair, you brought that upon yourself. That was not in the original agreement. That is something that you started doing. And we're I was just going to do that.
I did. Yeah, I think in some ways I was trying to prove that I was listening because I have a tendency to drift off. But in any case, what I'm hearing is number one. There's a certain in order to make the most of your schedule, whether you're full time. Well, there's nothing but a full time parent. Hopefully, if you're a full time parent or you've got a full time job or some other obligation, step one is sort of being prepared, like prioritizing. Knowing what the most important things are because your time's probably going to be limited. So that's super important. And I may have these out of order, but sue me. And as Jonathan always says, you're literally paying nothing for this information. It's free. So listen with that in mind.
So important to never forget that.
It's so crucial to the production of this podcast that you guys never let slip from your mind the fact that you have not invested in any way into what you're hearing here. That's crucial. That should be under every podcast title. By the way, episode 65, blah, blah, blah. Also, it's free. So the next thing that I'm hearing is, right, you know what I mean? Also, it's free. The next thing that I'm hearing here is that there's a certain amount of preparation, right? So not only are you prioritizing, Carol, I know that we've discussed in other episodes that she's prepared for times where she may not be in the best state, and she's preparing around her own sense of being somewhat scattered from time to time. Jonathan, you hear about his preparation. I mean, the man opens his shoes and points them in the right direction in case he forgets where the door is in the morning. He just knows to go in the direction that the shoes are pointing in, and that will lead him to some type of physical activity. You know,
I try to eliminate any kind of conscious thought.
It does help. I hate to admit to this, Jonathan, because I'm saying that you're right, but you're right, man. Like I can't argue it. You're right. It's true. It does help.
Jonathan's taking away any need for conscious level thinking in the morning. You can literally fall out of bed and the shoes will be able to.
No, anytime of the day. What I do is when that's on the mind. We talked before about how like my main driver in life, my motivating factor,
right?
Is lazy. Like everything that I do is try to build systems so that I don't.
And that's all. That's fair. I mean, hey, look, self-awareness is a key component of successful business. Like to thine own self be true. And then the third thing that I'm hearing is that there's a sense of all rightness when you don't get everything done, but you get the most important things done. Mm-hmm. You've got to be sort of okay with that, because I know personally that'll drive you crazy. It's driven me crazy early in my career when I have just a laundry list, again, the CVS receipt list of things that I like to get accomplished. Mm-hmm. Those people hate trees, I swear to God, that I want to get accomplished. And if I went to bed with like even one thing unfinished, I would freak out. Like it would really, really bother me. So prioritizing helps with that because you actually know what's the most important thing is that you've gotten done. So in terms of working your time the best way, have your mindset on what your priorities are. Prepare to the extent that you can before those things need to happen. So you can take advantage of the time that you do have, because invariably something's going to come into your day that you didn't expect. I mean, that's just like if you're still throwing tantrums about the things that pop up in your life, I can tell you that's going to be every day. It's going to be every day of your life. Like get over that quickly. And then three, just having the mindset of the things that I've done were the most important. They're done. Other things are not, but I'm never going to get everything done anyway. So I might as well get the most important things done. Did I summarize that properly? Is that good?
Yes.
Because I was on Instagram part of the time today, but it was important. So once again, we solved all of your problems in I'd say 20 minutes or less, because these days the first 20 minutes of the podcast is really figuring out what we're going to talk about that day. So we've gotten more efficient as we've gotten more scattered. We're learning to deliver you the topic in the last 15 minutes of the show because we're unlearning how to define a topic before the show starts.
Well, it's important to put proper constraints on what you do in order to get better, right? So by wasting the first 20 to 25 minutes of the podcast and starting 15 minutes after the hour and having to end right on the hour, it gives us 20 minutes to talk about the topic that should be spoken about in 45, which forces us to be more succinct.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I think I smell another book coming, Jonathan. Really do. Follow Jonathan on Pinterest for more habit stacking tips, for more efficiency tips.
I did get some origami.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Very nice. Is that a fox?
Do I open it?
What does the fox say?
Do you know what the fox said?
I could not do it. I could not do it, Keto. Let's see. Jonathan Goodman is literally seeing what does the fox say right now.
This is clever. It says you.
Nice. Man, it's just like all of a sudden it's like the Hallmark Channel. So hope you've enjoyed this episode, whatever episode it is, of the Online Trainer Show. And we'll see you next time with more riveting banter and more incredibly concise and well thought out constructive advice from the industry leading professionals that are Jonathan Goodman, Catalina Belmonte, the 16-year-old savant podcast producer, Amber Reynolds, and myself, the guy in the hat. I'm the cat in the hat. Oh, that's clever. Send Amber some artwork of me as the cat in the hat.
With a bat on a mat.
Wish I'd rather have her in the hat and the bat and a 6'4" Impala. I wish I was like 6'9" because then I could get with Miyoshi because she don't know me, but she really fine. Jingle, jingle. Podcasting. Thank you for your time, people.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show.
We shouldn't have a podcast.